All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Edgar Jimenez. I'm with Illinois SBDC at Chinese Mutual Aid, and we're going over learning the basics of Google, courtesy of National ACE. Thank you very much from National ACE, and our presenter will be Young, and she'll be getting on in just a moment. But I want to really appreciate everyone's time today, and really we're here to learn, we're here to support one another, and we're here to make the community stronger, and community strength comes through successful businesses. So thank you, all of you who are business owners, entrepreneurs, part of startups, or have existing businesses. From Illinois SBDC, we are here for you to provide cost-free business advising. And that is confidential and includes things from writing business plans, getting loans, improving your profit margins, to selling online, and strategic planning and analysis. We have a dearth of experience, not only from our collective team background, from all the resources that we have, including our advisory councils, who include a depth of legal experts, insurers, accountants, and experienced entrepreneurs and business owners who really are ready to share what they have to help make the community better. So we always start out with what gives you an unfair competitive advantage. If any of you do sign up to be one of our clients, that is the way I always start our sessions, and we take it from there, because in the end, how do you stand out? And if you're like everyone else, how does that really help you? Well, that's why we're here today, to talk about the Google webinar, Google ad improvements, and the way to have your text copy, your ad copy, and maximizing Google as a tool to help you grow your business. So feel free to visit our site. We are at Chinese Mutual Aid, and you click it and you look at departments, and we are the Illinois SBDC. And from there, it's a no-cost advising. You're able to click onto our link, and we show it here, but you'll be able to go on our site and click live. And we'll share that actually within the Q&A to be able to help you either for your own business or to share that with others who are looking for guidance to either get their business off the ground or help improve it. So I will be the facilitator during our session today. We will be using a Q&A function. And if you have questions, feel free to type them in. You have comments, maybe you even have things like maybe the sound isn't coming through, or maybe you want some clarification on a point during a point made by Young today. Feel free to just type that in and we'll address it live. But also at the same time too, I will be interacting collectively during the presentation if there's any points for clarity that may come from different perspectives. But the more you interact, the more you ask, the more information you get. And of course, the more valuable this is, not only to you, but to all of us collectively as business owners, as entrepreneurs, and also for the community. So without further ado, I want to pass it on to Young Tran of National ACE. And thank you, Young. And thank you, Tommy.
Thank you so much, Edgar, for the introduction. Hello, everybody. My name is Young Tran. I am the Program Associate at National ACE. National ACE, the long version of the name is National Asian Pacific Islander American Chamber of Commerce and Entrepreneurship. But you can just call us National ACE. We are so proud to be a partner with Grow with Google and Chinese Mutual Aid and the SBDC to provide workshops for small business and medium-sized businesses to take advantage of accessible Google tools and Google resources. Today, we're going over the basics of Google Ads. Put up the screen. At any time where I speak too quickly, or if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat and feel free to put it in the Q&A. So moving to the agenda, we'll start with a quick overview of online advertising and how Google Ad works. I'll walk you through the process of setting up your Google Ads account, creating your first ad, and showing you 2 ways to create ad campaigns. Next, I'll cover tips for creating better ads. After that, we'll start to talk about how to measure success of your ad campaigns, and I'll wrap up the session with more training resources. So advertising on Google. How often do you head to Google to research for possible, information, possible purchases, things that you are looking for. Maybe you just want to find more information about the product. Maybe you're discovering new products that you may be interested in. This happens all the time. People no longer go online, they practically live online. A 2019 study showed that almost half of surveyed shoppers said they use Google to discover new products, and more than half say they use Google to research for their purchases. For businesses that want to sell products online, search is a great opportunity to connect with potential customers. And even if you're not selling things online, search is a great way to get your name out for people to visit in person. So how ad works on Google search. It starts when someone wants to know something, go somewhere, buy something, or do something. Let's imagine someone is searching for a holiday gift for a friend. She grabs whatever device she has, a computer, a laptop, a smartphone, and immediately goes to Google. I'm sure you've done this too. You don't know what you're looking for, you're trying to buy a gift, you just, type in a gift for a book lover or gift for a foodie. That is a search inquiry. And, you see what shows up. Google shows a search results page with, as you all know, the list of things that you can click on. And on the very top, you might always see a ad. You see this little ad, a marker, and that means someone has paid to be there. Someone has paid to be front facing in front of you for you to potentially click on that ad. To make sure that you are that person, we're going to go over a couple of steps and how it works to appear. And so what Google does is they have an option for advertisers. Depending on who's willing to spend, I guess, the most money or who has the higher quality ad, Google will make that decision in a split second and then show up in front of your search. And so of the different text formats, of the different ad formats, you have text ads, image ads, shopping ads, dynamic search ads, call only ads, video ads. There's so many different types of ads that you can be on and you can be using. Today in particular, we are focusing on text ads. So text ads or pay per click, which means you only pay when someone clicks on your ad. That doesn't mean you show up. That doesn't mean you have to pay if you show up. You only pay if someone clicks. There are options of paying to show up, but not on Google search. You might show up on maybe a display network, someone who works with Google, a partner website where your ad might show up. And in those places, it might be a cost per click model, but Google specifically is a pay per click model. To get started, you need your Google account. You set up Google Ads, you click Start Now. We're just going to go over the basics of how to start. You follow the prompt by entering your business info, adding your billing info. They will not charge you unless you tell them to. Now, this is the part that I guess scares people a little bit because they jump right into creating a smart ad and you're like, whoa, I'm just trying to feel it out. You're just feeling it out. There's no commitment. There's no mistakes. You don't have to worry about doing this perfectly. Play around, go through this format that Google has for you and just have fun with it. So they start with, what is your main advertising goal? Is it to get more calls? Is it to get more people on your website? Get more sign up, get more sales? Or are you trying to get more people in your physical location? You click, maybe you want multiple outcomes. Each ad should have one outcome and you'll stick to that. If you want to try, if you want to do a different outcome, you need to make a separate ad for that. You enter your business name, you enter your website address. If you don't have a website up right now, just put a fake address. You can change it later. Everything can be changed later. Another point is, depending on your ad goal, you might not want people to go to your website. Maybe you're specifically selling pink t-shirts for little girls, and that's the ad that you're selling. Then you want the link to the pink t-shirts so people can directly go to it and directly purchase it. You write your ads. They have 3 headlines and 2 description lines. Include a clickable phone number if you want people to call you. And then you add keyword themes. We'll get into keywords a little more later, but keywords are so important to search results, because this is where, if people don't know your business, how do they find your business, and how do they find your business? How do they know about you, and why do they purchase from you? Then you want to set a location to display your ad. You might want to set up a certain zip code, a certain city, a certain region. Depending on what you're selling, this might be different to you. If you're using the radius option, you can target people from 3 miles to 40 miles around that location. If you're not selling in your city, if you're not selling from your physical location, you might want to change the zip code to the city that you're selling to. And then second to last, you set a budget. There's a recommended budget that Google tells you, but you can also change that number yourself. So with smart campaigns, you ultimately are setting a maximum monthly budget, even though here you only see the day. Your daily spendings may vary depending on how Google formats it, or I guess, well, take that back. So your daily spending might vary because you might not get all those clicks. You might get a couple of them. If you wanted to spend $50 of clicks a day, but you only got $13 worth, then Google will only charge you $13. But they know that you were willing to spend $50. And so they just want that daily budget so that they can figure out what's your monthly budget.
Young,
yes.
Young, if I could ask, and since we have a lot of different business owners here, do you have any top guidelines as to setting a monthly budget? You know, is there any overall thoughts that if you're doing consulting, you need to spend a little bit more on words versus if you're selling clothing, you have to spend even more? I mean, is there any good guideline? Because really what it sounds like, as you're encouraging for people to experiment and try things, you know, don't be afraid, you know, set aside $25 and try something. But is there any guidelines that you found by industry or even by website type? There's some good ways to plan forward as people determine budgets, especially when they're launching a brand or really using Google text ads for the first time.
That's a really good question. And it has a very complicated answer because depending on what your city you're in, depending what industry you're in, and depending on your targeted audience, all that information varies. It's a different answer for everything. And so it's really hard to pinpoint how much you should be spending. A good way of thinking about it is to take a step back and seeing what you're willing to spend a month, right? Like what is something, you know, small that you can like gamble away for a month just to see how it works, see how it pays out. And depending on your return on investment, you can figure out, okay, last month I spent about $3 for one person to click on my ad. But what did I get out of it? Did I get more exposure? Did I get more people to, purchase my product? Having a proper goal and having a proper budget to assess that goal, you can adjust accordingly. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Did you have any thoughts on some people? And I actually have some clients who'd rather hire an agency and say, all right, I'll spend $250 a month and hire an agency and they'll handle it. I'll give them a budget of, I don't know, $300, but at least they'll do it. Whereas what we're trying to learn today is hey, at least know the basics. So if you want to hire an agency, go ahead, but this is a good way to make sure they're not ripping you off, but at the same time too, maybe you realize you're actually better than your agency. I was curious if you had a perspective as well on that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely many professionals and definitely many for-profit organizations that work for businesses to do this for you. And if you're paying for a service, you're paying for service. If you want to do it by yourself, you can definitely do it by yourself. But just like being a small business owner, instead of a customer, sometimes you got to do some trial and error, and you see what works from there.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. And so going back to the PowerPoint, you finish up your ad campaign, you enter that payment info and set up an optional conversion tracking. But you should always, set up your conversion tracking so that you know how many of those clicks turn out to a sale, if that is your goal, right? Because some people maybe not be totally concerned on sales at this point. They just want exposure. They just want more people to know about them. They just want more people to sign up for their newsletter so that they can send out, hey, if you, are so interested in me, then, here's a coupon for 10% off, Like you get these ads all the time too, where you're interested in something, but you're not quite sure, but you sign up on your email. And then the second they give you a coupon, they make that immediate purchase, right? There's always a tactic behind these things.
Young, so for example, what you're calling for is you're really looking for a call to action, but it really depends if you're looking for exposure or you're looking for them to click. There is this philosophy out there that you need 7 touches or 7 points of contact with a prospect before they make a buying decision. Do you feel then you build your campaign on awareness first, set aside a budget for, okay, let's shoot for, 5 points of contact with my database, and then the next call to action based on the type of ad is then for them to click and buy? Or do you feel that all should be encompassed, that process or the experience should all be tied in with that first ad out the box?
Absolutely. I think that's a really good question. What I would say is it depends on your business. If you are already a business that has a lot of reviews on Google, reviews on Yelp, and they know about you, then you might want the ads that specifically cater to your products and what you offer. If you're starting off and you're completely new and you're trying to win this trust from customers, this branding, this knowledge that you exist, then you might want to focus more about the exposure.
Great, thanks.
No problem. Thank you for the questions. And so we're going to get into a little bit about how to manage your ad campaign. And so managing your ad campaign, actually give me a second. You can review your campaign at any time to make sure that you make all the changes and layer some additional options, such as ad scheduling, like picking days of the week, times of the day where ads are eligible to appear. This might be helpful for if you don't want people to call during the hours where you're closed, or days that you do not work. In those cases, you might want your ad to appear on the hours where you do work, or hours where your target audience is usually online. So with the campaign we just set up, the Smart campaign, some advertisers want to experience more options, more details. There is an expert mode. Expert mode offers the full range of Google ad features and campaign types. While it gives advertisers more complete control over their bidding strategies, it also requires more complex management. And so if you don't have enough time to commit to your ads, you might want to keep the Smart campaigns. But if you do want to go a little more in depth with your Google ad campaigns, then you might want to switch to expert mode. And so with expert mode, you can create smart campaigns, display campaigns, video campaigns, ad campaigns, and shopping campaigns. This chart on the slide compares smart campaigns with search campaigns created in expert mode. Both campaigns show ads in the same place on google.com. But with expert mode, it's better suited for more experienced marketers who need advanced controls, tools, and reporting. So if you want to get strong results with the expert mode search campaigns, it's recommended that you manage this on a daily basis. So if you do get into this, know exactly what you're getting into. So to get on expert mode, that first page where it says smart campaign, go to the very bottom and it asks you, are you a professional marketer? And you can click on expert mode. So with expert mode, it's relatively the same again, but with more detail. And so you can set up more campaign settings, set up groups, create ads, review that information, and launch those ads. And I'll get into a little more expert mode a little later, but let's get into how to improve your ads. So again, we're focusing on text ads. With text ads, you get 3 headlines, 30 characters each, 2 descriptive lines, 90 characters each, and 1 URL. And so if you make your URL short, neat, clean, it's more, I guess, presentable for viewers. It's important to focus on showcasing the most relevant, compelling information on your ad. A promotion on a call to action, as Edgar mentioned, for your professional customers is also encouraged for clicks. So a great highlighted ad makes your product or service unique. You want to include prices, promotions, exclusives, empower customers to take action, use at least one of your keywords. Always check spelling and grammar so you look legitimate. And you can get more tips on writing effective ads by visiting g.co/text ads tips. And so Google has so many different resources that you can use and get tips on. We'll get into resources at the end of this PowerPoint. Here are a few more ways to improve your ad. If you're in expert mode, you can create specific target audience and ad groups so your ads appear more relevant to customers. Include keywords that directly relate to specific themes of your ad, website, products, or services, so it's easy for your target audience to find. No matter what version of ads you're using, create simple, inciting ads that stand out from the competition by offering solutions to customers' pain points, promotions, and unique features. And
Young,
so,
is there a really nice, cost-effective, or maybe you found a best practice where we could find the best text words or hashtags that are most relevant to our customers? For example, someone from a hot dog stand could be very different from someone who rebuilds air conditioners. Do you feel it's simply just going on Google and type in air conditioners and find out what kind of ads, or is there something a little bit more sophisticated within the Google suite that is not so intimidating, but a little bit more intuitive, that really gets those creative juices and how to really write very effective text ads?
That's a great question. There's 2 answers to that. One answer is that we don't really need to recreate the wheel. Sometimes you can pretend to be your customer. Like if you didn't know anything about your product or your business, what are some words that would describe your business where you would Google and your business should be popping up, right? And Google them yourself and see what pops up, see what's the competition, see what's on the first page versus what's on page 50. See what your competition is using, see what works for them, see what don't work for them. And you can apply that to your own business so that you can get the best results. The second part is Google actually shows you what keywords work the best for you. And so going back to spices, if you're selling spices and you're just using the word spice, you're not getting that many, I guess, customers going your way because spice is so broad. Maybe they're Googling the Spice Girls. Maybe they want to know more information about spices. Maybe they want, to know about where spices are created and built. You specifically or selling spices. And so you need to tell us that what kind of spices you're selling, or where you're from, where the spices are from, and what kind. I think I already said what kind of spices you're selling, but that you are a business that sells spice. And so here are some phrases that they've used. Essential spices got them over 100 impressions and 96 people clicked on that. If they had Chicago spices, a lot of impressions, but only 23 people clicked on it. And as you go down, I'm not sure if you see it because it's blurred out. You see salt and you see pepper. This one had a lot, these two have a lot of impressions, but only 6 to 4 people click on it. Impressions and I was going to get into it later, but impressions or just how many times you show up, clicks, or whether or not they actually click on it, and you pay for every click you get. And so you want the keywords that get you a great ratio of impressions to clicks, and Google will tell you what works and what doesn't. And when something doesn't work, you can turn it off. And so let's get into a little bit about expert mode to kind of fix your keywords. And so as I explained before, spice is really broad. They will include misspellings of the word spice, synonyms of spice, related searches, and other variations. If you put the quotation marks on spice, then Google knows to make it a little more specific. It's the phrase. Anytime spice shows up in a phrase or a close variation to that. If you put these little box quotation marks, then you get the exact word. The person needs to spell it exactly as spice, and you will show up. Negative is really great for things that are closely related to that word so that you don't show up. And so if you're selling spice, you don't really need to show up when people are Googling Spice Girls, right? And so you put negative girls and your ad will not show up whenever someone Googles the word Spice Girls.
Young, I would also offer from a branding point of view. So let's say, for example, I wanted to create a brand, Hot Chicago Spice. And let's say no one's ever used that before. I have a chance of trademarking it, so I could be the only person that owns Hot Chicago Spice. So I could put in Hot Chicago Spice, but it might have no clicks. So therefore, I realize, okay, no one's ever heard of me, but the word spice is in there. I just wanted to offer that against brand building versus actionable words. In this case, as you mentioned, essential spices mean something to people out there, and people are willing to click and buy. So, I would just offer that this is a incredible tool to use Google, and for example, the quotes and the boxes and the minus. But I think that's really important, especially when you're going to be spending hard-earned money to test it. But I appreciate where you're coming from, Young, in really testing out what words make sense first. Do the analysis before you do the spend. But sometimes when you're coming up with a brand new product that no one's ever heard of, you really realize a lot of it's education. So there's going to be a spend for the education before really people understand enough about your offering before they spend. So I was curious if there's anything else you had to add to that, Young, as you do the analysis and figure out what words make the most sense for, in this case, a spice store.
Oh, that was perfect. That was a great add-on. I think it goes back to what is your goal, right? Because when we think of ads, we think, oh, if I post an ad, I will get money. But if you don't have a direction, you're just shooting, in the dark. You're shooting darts in the dark. You need to be very specific about what do you want out of this ad. So when you spend that hard-earned money, you are getting that result. And as you're creating your ad, you are molding the ad so that you get that result you want. And so if you say you want, more people to purchase your products and more people to know about you and more people to sign up for your newsletter, if you're doing all of these things, you're probably going to get nothing. Like, you need to be very specific about what your goal is. What are you after? So when you spend the money, you know exactly what you're spending that money on.
Thanks, Em.
No problem. And so this kind of goes back on the keywords and finding out what keywords work for you. And so Google will help you see, what new keywords can you try? Other companies are essentially doing very similar things to you. What is working for them? What are some keywords that may work for you? Google will offer you those suggestions. Google will let you see the monthly searches, determine the cost that you're spending for everything, organize your keywords on what works the best and what doesn't, and help you develop new campaigns. And I know it's really small, but it's all in here. Go to Google Ads and test it out. There are extensions that you can add. These are optional. You can add your phone number, you can add, site extensions, color extensions, location extensions. We're not going to get too deep into that. And we're going to go to what we mentioned earlier, measuring success. And this is so important. So again, going back to what you want. What is your goal? What do you want to accomplish? And do your ads help you reach these business goals? So let's go to the terms. I briefly touched on it earlier. Impressions, or how many times your ad is displayed, whether or not it's clicked. Clicks, or when they actually click on it. Conversions, this is the one that people love. This is the one where they did what you wanted them to do. And so if your goal was them to sign up for your newsletter, then Google will track how many people were converted after that click. If your goal was people to buy that pink t-shirt, Google will track how many people bought those pink t-shirts. Smart campaigns will show you. You can see here the Spice House. They spent $150 and got 1,000 impressions, so 1,000 people saw it. Of that 1,000 people, 100 people clicked it. And of the people who clicked it, 5 people called. And so for them, their goal was to get people to call them. And you might be thinking, well, I spent $150 for only 5 calls. Like, is that what I wanted? Like, is that, was that worth my time? It's worth your time in the sense where 100 more people now know about you. They now know about your business. They might visit it again. 5 people actually called you and did what you wanted to, where get more information, or they wanted to inquire about a purchase. As you're looking at these results, depending on what your goal is, you can adjust. You might want more clicks, you might want more calls, you might want to try new different things, but this is a great starting point to see where you're at in the community, in the market.
Young, maybe this is a little bit out of scope, but what I would think is the next question would be, of the 5 calls, how many resulted in sales? So you could say you spend $150, but a sale on average from your store is $1,000. Then you say, yeah, hey, I'll take 5 calls every day. I'll make $1,000 once every call. Maybe it's worth it. So I was curious, is there an add-on here? You can add this to a CRM piece, or is that something outside as a Google Business Suite function, or is that something even third party like Salesforce.com to tie everything together? Because in the end, right, that's what we want to learn. And here, obviously, this could be done for nonprofits as well, but here in this case, you want to see what that return on investment is on your $150 spend here.
Absolutely. And so there's the fourth section here is conversions. And if you click on get started, that's when you can start tracking how much purchases you've actually gotten, right? And so this is something that you can add the numbers yourself if you are a service-based business, where it's like you need those people to call you, you need those quotes, and then you can put in the numbers of like, okay, of the people who called you, these are the people who made purchases. They spent $1,000 each, and so that 150 was completely a big return on investment, right? And so you need to make sure you're tracking the whole process of, you know, the customer's journey of getting to know you, well, seeing you, wanting to know who you are, wanting to know more about your product, and then making that purchase. And so on this one, it just shows a little more on the expert mode, where their information is a little more detailed. In Google expert mode, you will get information about your ad groups, more information about ads, the landing pages, the keywords, demographics, and more. And so this is just kind of a picture of what you would see on expert mode versus what you would see on, oopsies, the wrong way, what you would see on the basic mode. And this ties right into the importance of connecting it to Google Analytics. So Google Analytics isn't a requirement, but it's an option, and it's a free option, just the same way signing up for Google Ads is a free option. By linking your Google Ads to your Analytics account, you get to see the customer's full cycle as to how customers interact with your market, like seeing the ad, clicking on the ad, to how they complete the goal, which is setting up for your site. And so the ad is everything up to going to your site. Analytics is what happens after they're on your site. What are they clicking on? What are they interested in? Are they visiting more pages more than another page? Or where do they stop before they make a purchase, and why do they stop there? You know, you can analyze those analytics on your site with Google Analytics to make improvements to your website so that it makes the customer journey more smooth, and so that so it's easier for them to make a purchase. And then setting up Google Analytics, g.co/analytics, sign up is very straightforward to do so. If you have any questions on connecting your site to it, Google also has resources to do so. I've done it for the National ACE website. Sometimes it's super easy, it's one click, and some websites, depending on what program you're hosting your website on, might be a little different. You might need to set up your GA code, copy and paste it onto the backend of your website. And so that's a little technicality, but if you Google it, you'll find the answer. So let's get into recaps and resources. Just recapping the whole journey again. Let's say you need a gift for your friend who's a foodie. You're Googling gift ideas. You find a great website about essential spices. You know, now you're reading about it, articles about it, looking at the reviews. You might even find a video, and now you're on YouTube watching that video. And now you're really interested in it. And so you're searching to see if there's any stores nearby. And maybe you sign up for their newsletter. Afterwards, you might get an ad on, you know, here's a coupon, you know, here's a holiday, etc., you know, an incentive. Like if you call now, 10% off, right? Whatnot. But this is the journey that your customers on, and this is the journey we find ourselves on many of the time. If you want more Go with Google webinars, you can visit Go on Air, and webinars like this can show up. We're actually hosting another webinar later this week that you can join too, and it's specifically about how to use YouTube for your business. Google also has G.co Premier. This is an app you can have on your phone where it's really short, practical, personalized next steps on what you should do to help your business, help your website, help online. Google has a lot of resources for you. If you want certificates and scholarships for US businesses can get up to 500 scholarships per company for Google career certifications to train their employees. These certifications cover Google Analytics, digital marketing and e-commerce, IT support, project management, UX design. Google definitely wants to help small business as much as they can. And so please take advantage of all these resources and ask as many questions as you need. I'm not the expert on the certifications, but I can find a Google expert to tell you about it.
I wanted to share a quote from Richard Branson from Virgin Airlines. He always said, because there's always a concern, well, why should we train our employees? We'll just make them better and they'll leave us. Well, his rhetorical answer was, well, what if they stay? So it's a really good investment in your employees to make sure they're trained. And then the other pieces too, treating them well, showing them respect, giving them challenges, showing that the mission of your product or service really resonates and means something to them. But yeah, get your people trained, especially with Google being able to offer certifications. Yeah, get them trained, and it just makes your business better. So I highly encourage that, because that really is about counter to back in the day where corporations didn't do tuition reimbursement, didn't want to train employees because they would just leave. But no, in this case, by them staying and making your business better, it's a great investment. So anyway, wanted to just throw it in there, but thanks, Young.
No, that was great. Thanks for sharing that. Absolutely. And then there's a Skillshop training on Google professional tools. Again, these tools sometimes are complicated and sometimes you need more little help. And so if you go on g.co/Skillshop, you can get a lot of free e-learning courses to help you use these tools in the best way you can. And more online training and tools from Grow with Google. They have things for teachers, they have things for local businesses, they have things for job seekers, they have things for developers. They have a lot of different things, and so definitely take advantage of them if you want to. And that concludes my presentations. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, it's a chance everyone to ask another questions. I really, we found that once it gets going, people kind of think about their situation and really seeing how it resonates. I was curious, on the chat, is there anyone who is just doing strictly online business? Can we get some responses from in the chat? And just from that perspective, any advice that you have, Young, in retail sales versus services sales?
Retail sales versus what sales?
Services. Someone who come and paint your home, or legal advice versus, hey, click here and you get 2 really cool mugs.
Yeah, absolutely. For services, there are 2 different things. You can encourage people to contact you for a quote if that's something that you usually do, where you don't have a fixed price for your products, or if you do have fixed prices for your products, like let's say you're a massage parlor, then you will have packages, right, of an hour for XYZ dollar massage, right? And so depending on your product, you can still sell online. You just need to make sure that you make sure you have those details and descriptions on your website so people know exactly what they're getting into, and that there's a reason why you need a quote. There's a reason why they need a quote. There's a reason why you encourage them to call you, or if you had any opportunities for special sales or discounts, there's a reason why they should sign up for your newsletter.
Great, thanks, Young. Thank you, Sonia, for the question. Her request was, can you show those Google links again? Just wanted to let you know too, Sonia, as Young presented the G.co links, that I've also typed them within our chat here. So you could click in on those and those will be live. Any other questions out there for today? How about anything as it ties out, Young, with TikTok or Instagram? Any thoughts as we develop Google ads and those tying into using things like Linktree or beacons, where is it a good practice to track, give people all those options? But I think it comes down to, is that even trackable within Google? Just so you all know, like Linktree is a very simple landing page on your social media where you could list your TikTok page, your Instagram page, your Spotify page, your Amazon page, but you still want to give them an option to go to your website. And of course, when they go to your website, then you get that deep analysis from Google Analytics. So I was curious, Young, if you had any perspective as people tie in. Should everything, instead of using a link tree, should everything be on their website? You know, I just maybe thoughts from an analytic point of view, but at the same time, too, ease of use for those who are interacting via smartphones.
No, absolutely. I think Linktree is a great resource. I think there's many different platforms that you can use that will be great for other social media platforms. I think Google is specifically for Google resources and Google search. What's really interesting, because I've had this question before, they're like, okay, what's the difference between Facebook ads and Google ads? Where Facebook ad, TikTok ads, you know, and other social media ads, they tend to be, I guess, like passing ads where, let's say someone is of the demographic you're looking for, of the age you're looking for, gender you're looking for, and typically people who do buy for you, then your ad will show up when that person is scrolling, right? And so that person's not necessarily looking for you. That person is, you know, looking for entertainment, talking to their friends, seeing, you know, updates on their friends, and you just pop up, you know, showing that you sell clothes that they might like. Versus Google in particular, they are searching for you. They are looking for something. They are looking for you. And so when people are looking for you or looking for something, they tend to like want to get it or want to purchase it. Versus on social media, it's more like, oh, this, you know, this is really nice. Like maybe I am interested in this. Maybe I want to purchase it. That's the biggest difference. I wouldn't say one is better than the other. I would say they both have their pros and cons. Because what if they don't know that they, you know, need you or want you? Then a social media ad would be amazing. But if someone like knows that they need spices, then a Google ad will be a great course of action.
Sure. You know, one thing too, we do encourage at Illinois SBDC is a shop local, which I personally support. You know, sure, we need the Walmarts and the Targets, etc. But, you know, if I'm able to go to like a local spice shop within 2 blocks, not only, you know, I expect it to be a little bit more expensive, but, you know, I get that personalized attention. But my concern is finding them. So now flipping it, if I'm that spice house and I start, of course, leaning into Google Analytics, is there a time frame I should start expecting some good data to learn from that? I know we talked about that a little bit offline, Young, but any thoughts as everyone embraces and understands Google Analytics? How long does it take to get actionable data so you can make some really good decisions on your ads, text, copy, words, etc.?
I say the best time to start tracking was yesterday, right? Like as soon as you can start tracking that data. When you start tracking that data, in my perspective, the best data to start looking at is maybe 2 months out, right? Because now you're getting to see what does your business look like in a typical month. You know, if you have 2 months into it, you know the ups and downs. You know, from there you can see, okay, maybe I need more information because, you know, the first month I didn't get anybody on my website, but for some reason the second month I had so many people on my website. You know, what's the difference? Why is there, you know, an uptick, a downtick? We want to see the difference month by month.
You know,
Okay.
Go ahead, because I would also build on that. Yeah, set that up as soon as possible, because those of us that are out there, some of us are more artists or more chefs or more foodies, or maybe some of us really would rather be selling, and I hate data. But the sooner you set this up, remember it's free. Then if you decide, okay, you're going to hire someone to do the analytics, great. An intern, maybe you pay an agency, fine. But you've got to start immediately because this is
Capturing
free
the data
to learn from. And I'm sorry, Young, you're going to finish. You're going to finish your point.
I just wanted to add that you want to make sure you set up your Google business profile, right? So a lot of let's say you have a store and you Google your store, and the first thing that pops up on the side is like a profile of the actual store, right? We see that a lot. If you don't have a profile for your store, you should have a profile for your store. Because once you set up that profile, you will show up on Google Maps. And that's the key thing. A lot of people go straight on Google Maps and Google Chinese food. And then they now know how many Chinese foods are in the area, but they're limited to how many Chinese restaurants have set up their Google business account. If you're a Chinese restaurant and you haven't set up that account, maybe they don't know that you're across the street and then they went to your competitor 2 streets down because they were on Google Maps. And so make sure you set that up.
Yeah, and I wanted to just build on that for those of you on our session today. National ACE actually led a national effort about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, with a lot of Asian restaurants where mom and pops, where they don't use the free listings, Google profile, and even like the Yelps and the Facebook setup, but that's incredibly powerful. So I would even further encourage, maybe this maybe still feels a little intimidating, which really shouldn't, but if it does, emotionally, we embrace your emotions, feel it and understand it, set it up and pay someone else to manage this. But you've got to start immediately, because every day you're not tracking your data, you're losing that ability to make better decisions, and let alone better revenue, growing your business, helping more people. You've really got to set up immediately. So anything else you wanted to close out with, Young, as we're coming on our 60 minutes? And any other thoughts or any other sharings you want to do or talk about here to our attendees? Young.
Yes, absolutely. I think I have one more tip just to reiterate. I think a lot of businesses love to think that they sell to everybody, anybody, everywhere, wherever they want. And they don't know how to make their ads specific. And that is, an amazing perspective. But at the same time, if you're trying to reach everyone, sometimes you don't reach anyone. And so if you, let's say a spice store in Chicago, again, take that back. If you're a spice store in Idaho and you're a customer in Chicago, why are you buying from Idaho, right? When you can have one in Chicago in your local, store, whatnot. We do want to support local businesses, but if you're trying to, reach a greater audience, you need to reach a specific audience. And so to convince someone from Chicago to purchase from your spice store in Idaho, maybe they specifically were looking for spices, I'm making this up, but like for pregnant women in their 40s, and they now have a reason to purchase from you versus from someone local because they were looking specifically that. So the more specific you are with a group of people, the more likely you are to actually get customers from that group of people versus trying to get everyone and anybody.
I'd also say from a business advising point of view, there's a military expression about exploiting the breach. In other words, it's best to have all your forces target something super, super specific and then exploit that. And from there, you're able to build. Because, right, it's a sharper knife cuts through rather than a sledgehammer. But a sledgehammer means you really have to spend a lot of time and money there. Where if you're really targeted, in this case, let's say you're targeting 40-year-old new moms. Hey, they have certain needs. You become really good, become trusted, grow your brand within that niche, and then people really would realize in this example, you're a spice expert for pregnancy, spice expert for women, spice expert within Chicago. And then you're able to, as your business grows, you have more resources, more time, then you're able to grow that. But really, really focus on that niche, be very focused. It saves you money, saves your frustration. But once you expert that opportunity, grow it. But if not, let's say there is no demand for that, then you try something else. But more laser focus at the beginning and then expand it, but you're able to expand it because then you become that trusted expert, that trusted service within that industry or that product line, and then you're able to be successful. But that, I would say that even from our point of view, we're aligned with Google and Young's encouragement to be very focused, because right, you become focused and you can grow. But if you're not focused, it's hard to grow. Spend a lot of money, spend a lot of time, but you're frustrated. Let's get focused and really grow. So Young, I wanted to thank you very, very, very much on behalf of not only Illinois SBDC at Chinese Mutual Aid, but also collectively everyone on our Zoom today. It'll be recorded. This will be posted to YouTube. And again, National ACE, thank you very, very much for being part of this. And I also want to thank Tommy for setting up our Zoom today. But everyone have a wonderful weekend, have a wonderful week, and we look forward to seeing you again. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Okay, bye-bye.